Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Agnieszka Szufarska. She's a sales engagement leader in Nokia. After spending years in 4G and 5G research, innovation, team leadership, and executive communications, now she spends most of her time transforming the complex engineering documents into customer-ready stories. Bringing simplicity and clarity to complex environments is what drives her in the workplace, and one of the 4 kids is who gets her up in the morning. Struggling every day to keep the work-life balance, juggling the many daily tasks, she still sometimes finds time for a walk in the forest or a computer game that she's a big fan of. Agnieszka Szufarska, the stage is yours.
Thanks, guys. I'm very happy to be here. My topic for today is the rise of modern IT professionals, and I'm not that young anymore, so I am the perfect person to give you the right perspective into how life looked like 15 years ago, how it looks now, and then what we will see in the future. So starting on this perspective, that, as I said, I have, this is the rough outline of my career, the companies I worked for, but if you look at the logos here, it's only once that I have changed a job between different companies. In the beginning, 2004, I have moved from Gdańsk to Wrocław to start working for Siemens. So that was one job change between companies, and the rest is just the companies wheeling around me with the different name and brand changes. And to add to this complexity, you already said that this is 4 kids that we have. This is true, and then at the same time, I'm still able to have a dynamic career. So the way the environment for us IT employees changes is something that I'm very interested in, because it impacts my life every day, how I'm able to cope with my many daily tasks. So this is what we start from. What we will start from is looking a bit back, how life looked like when I was starting my career. That was 17 years with Nokia, and then we will come to the point now, and then we will look a bit to the future. So starting from looking back. In here, we will always have the past, and then in here we have the future. So now and in the future. So the time cards. My dad used to work at companies that had the time cards, and that at this point in time was like a top-notch technology. So this is something that we fortunately don't have anymore, and I'm very happy that also the electronic systems of monitoring the time that we work is also going away. So we are moving away from the external monitoring of our working time. We, in IT at least, are professionals, and we manage our own time. We are able to be measured by the tasks that we promise to deliver, and then if we deliver the tasks on time and our average working time is roughly what we are contracted to do, we don't have any problems in the workplace. Of course, it's a bit different in different industries, so the shops have opening hours, the factories have shifts, but for us in IT, I feel that this is a privilege, that we can have this flexible working time. So we will be able also in the future to start early in order to finish early and go for a run. We will be able to go see a doctor if a child is sick. We will be able to carve out some time to do the groceries in the middle of the day, right? So there are also costs associated with it, because if the dimensioning of the time that is necessary for us to do our job is not accurate, then we run into the risk of over hours, and maybe the over hours are not always fairly compensated. So that's a risk if a system is immature, if a transformation is halfway through but not yet done, right? But this is at least the first aspect of the change that is happening in our lives. And moving forward, we don't go to the offices every day. At least many of us don't do it. This is a global trend. I was doing some studies, so I'm not telling just for myself. I have moved to Gdańsk, to my virtual home office 7 years ago now, and I'm very happy with it. But there are many people who do other things with the flexible workplace. I am not the one who invented the term workation, but I heard that workation is a very cool thing to do, and I can imagine many amazing places that I could go to check it out. But I think maybe I will do it once the kids are a bit older. This is another aspect of the change that is happening right now. Then another one. So I'm giving you the female perspective, maybe unsurprisingly. But this is something that was believed a choice that we have to make, that you either are a good employee or you are a devoted parent. So this is not the case anymore, and it does not only relate to our life as parents. It also can be our athletic attitude. It can be our life as a party person. It can be our life as a board game fun. So we are now allowed to have multidimensional lives, and we can carve out a lot of time from our professional lives to do our hobbies or anything that we want to do with it. So this preconception that you are either a good parent or a good employee is also gone, or hopefully gone, and in most companies. Let's say that. All the things that I'm saying here, guys, they are trends. They are something that we see is happening. So depending on an organization, they may be either already pretty mature, or they can be just in progress or happening. But this is something that is happening globally, and I don't believe we will see this turning back. Moving forward. So, do you know this guy? I think in Poland we have this saying, like Janusze biznesu. So that's Janusz. So if any of you guys is by coincidence called by this name, I apologize. But this is all about the micromanagement. It's all about the will to control every aspect of my organization's life. It's also about not trusting one's employees. It's also about trying to save every penny. So not paying the over hours is something that the Janusz biznesu would do, right? So this figure here, I have not had much interactions with those guys, but I had some of it, and I am so happy that this is going away. So if you look here, the leadership that I'm referring to, one of the colleagues told me that maybe we should refer to as coaching, but this is two-dimensional. This is first about our relationships to our managers, our bosses. So what I like to see is I like to see my manager as my support. I like to see my manager as my coach, as my peer person to bounce off ideas. I would like my manager to trust me, to empower me, and I would like my leader to challenge me as well, right? So the feedback, the receiving feedback is also a tough art, but let's say that the relationship between the manager and the employee is changing. But there's the second aspect to it. The second dimension of leadership is that leadership is not about the hierarchy. It's not about the management ladder. It's about all of us being able to be leaders. So leadership is about challenging colleagues if they are at the wrong. It's also about approaching somebody who's 2 steps up in your hierarchy if you feel that the company's strategy is wrong, or if a process is not properly working, or that the process is not dimensioned correctly, right? So the leadership is now a trait of a person. It's not something that we would consider only for managers. So the most junior person in a company can also demonstrate leadership skills. And then the final aspect in my first part of this talk is about the change that we see in the way we work. So for my parents, it has been pretty natural to work for decades for the same employee, or even for a lifetime. And in Nokia, we also have many people who have been with the company for decades. So they have spent most of their life working for Nokia, and this is amazing. But right now, what is expected is the lifelong learning, the constant change. So the faster learning of new skills, the reskilling, the change of a career. So I may look like a bad example of this change that I'm describing here, because what I showed you beforehand is how I have worked for the many years in the same company, now called Nokia. But the fact is that I have changed my career many times. So I have started as a software developer, even though many of you would say that it's not true. So maybe I was a lousy software developer, or maybe some of you would say that MATLAB is not even a programming language and would laugh me off. So maybe I erase this one. But then then I have been a radio research engineer. I was filing patents. That was a very rewarding job, and I'm not saying financially. It was very rewarding to see my work being used in the radios all over the world. But then I was a team leader. Then I was a content developer. I have grown different skill sets over the course of my career, and what's happening at the best companies is that they retain employees, they keep their good employees with them by allowing them to change jobs within the company in an easy way. So the internal job market is something that many IT firms develop within their organization, so that they don't lose talent that wants to do something else and would jump to a competitor or a different industry. So all these skills that I have described and all the changes that are happening in the workplace, they all constitute something that can be described as the employee experience. And one of the things that I would like you to encourage is that you all take into account the employee experience in your choice of your employer, now and in the future, as something that is just as important as the financial package, right? Of course, as soon as you earn enough to make a living or do the things that you want to do. Maybe you don't need to earn the extra bucks. Maybe you would rather go for an employer that allows you to have this fulfilling life and a good employee experience. So we are in the now. So what's next? What's like around the corner? So I would start this part with what's around the corner, with a bit of tapping into the technology. That's my only technology part for today. What I will do, I will describe a bit of the 2030 technology vision, and I'm doing this in order to give us also some perspective on the substance that we will be working with. So many of you guys are in the software development, so this means that also the topics or the substance that you are working on is important for your work. We have seen already very cool presentations today on the LTE network on the moon, on building the software and the new constraints that are necessary if we are building a software that actually will be deployed on the moon. So this is one of the aspects of what we are seeing here. So what's here? I have attached the link there. So there's a technology vision 2030. I think most of the big films with this sort of ambitious future outlook have the technology vision 2030. I think, well, at least Gdańsk also has the technology vision 2030. I guess Wrocław also has a 2030 vision for itself. That's just strategic planning. But what we did in Nokia is we have launched a few years ago this multi-dimensional teams. So the teams that are constituting of professionals from different domains, and they looked at the different streams or verticals, if you will. So this covered both the social changes, the geopolitics, the environmental aspects. It also covered the technology changes, the device changes, okay, maybe the metaverse, maybe all the XR applications, the cybersecurity or quantum. So all the things that we see will be impacting the technology in 10 years from now or from then are covered in the vision. So if you look in here, you would see the circles. So the human world, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. That's us. So this is humans with all our culture, all ambition, or values, all the things that make us a human. The physical world also, that's pretty obvious. So that's both the nature and the technology, the human-created physical objects. And then the digital world is all the data that we have created. It's both the entertainment, it's the work, it's the business, all the digital stuff that we have created so far and that we continue to create every day. So the interactions between these worlds, they define the world of the future. So the human world is and will be interacting with the digital world. We are building the programs, we are digitalizing things, and at the same time we are consuming the digital world. We are watching our Netflix movies, but then we are also doing some work. Then the digital and physical world, they also have the similar interactions. So these are like actuators. This is the sensors and the reading from the sensors into the digital world. All the foundation of the future digital life. And this all connected with a network is what will constitute this technology vision for the future. You have the headline here below. This is about extending the scope of human possibilities. So this is really very high level. But what this means in practice, and this is also something that will define the what. So what we will see coming in the next few years for us IT professionals is maybe shown in the picture here. I will show a bit simplified view in a second, but these are just some characteristics of a network that are happening right now, that will continue to happen over the next few years. So you can see here the network performance aspects. You can see there some new network capabilities like the sensing and positioning. So this is not that mature yet or not hitting the mass market. Same actually with all the metaverse and XR. So we see that this is somehow starting, but it's not hitting the mass market as fast as we have expected maybe a few years ago. But still, this is coming. So we will need all the capabilities of the network, and also these things is something that will be the substance of our work in the years to come. So maybe some of us will be working on the low latency networks. Maybe some of us will be working on the non-terrestrial networks and so forth. So this simplified view that I promised is here. So the topical part is the green one. So you can see here the non-terrestrial networks, NTN, and then you have the LEO, GEO, MEO. So that's all about the orbit on which we are putting the satellites that we are using for communications. But then we have all the breadth of networks that we have already now. So we have the wide area or the small cells, all those. But then what also will come into this basket is the decentralized networking. So maybe new mechanisms of building and new mechanisms of the sharing economy in the connectivity. So all these things constitute the network of networks. Then the APIs. This is, I think, something that many of you guys would have much more to say than I have. And then we expect those APIs to become more simple. We also expect that we will have a more streamlined or standardized adoption of the APIs, and then also we will make the programming of the network easier through the artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then the extreme performance networks. So the extreme performance means that the networks need some characteristics that are maybe very specialized, very narrow, like the low latency or low jitter, something that is very important for industrial applications maybe. But then it's not something that we would deploy on a wide area network, and it's not even possible to be achieved on the wide area or non-terrestrial network because of the delays, right? So the specialized networks, they can be designed, they can be deployed, but they can only be very localized, right? So all those things is something that you guys have a chance to work on in 5 years from now, maybe. So this is all about the what, so the substance of what we will do in IT in a few years from now. But then back maybe to the how, because what I also did, I looked into the industry predictions for the next few years, and then the future of work trends. I think one of the best articles I have read is from a guy named Bernard Marr, and this was with Forbes. And Bernard has analyzed the different trends for next year, but also years to come. There are 8 of them. Some of them we have actually covered already in my first part, like the decentralized workplace, right? So those aspects we have already covered. Some of the aspects maybe I will not cover in this speech anymore, but that's just because then you have a chance to maybe read Bernard's article yourself. But then there are 2 of those that I want to dive into a bit. Then the Gen AI. I think we have had at least a few talks already today on the Gen AI, and I would guess that many of you have already experienced yourself, not just with the ChatGPT. I think when we had the ChatGPT boom, almost everybody has tried to form an opinion of ourselves, what the ChatGPT can do. But I would guess that many of you have also your own experience in programming with Copilot, maybe. But let's go. So whatever we say about the Gen AI, it has already pretty significant impact on many industries. It's not just the software development, it's also like pharmacy or legal or creative. I think the the customer service we also maybe know by ourselves, because we are faced with a chatbot instead of a person if we want to complain about a service. But then the applications are very broad, and then one that I want to focus on is in programming. I will now show you a few statistics, maybe a bit provocative. This is coming from McKinsey, so let's see how you guys react. So McKinsey has analyzed the gains that are possible with the Gen AI in software development. The first chart here is the financial impact on an industry as a whole. That's ranging from 20 to 45%, and this is like annual savings that the companies can achieve with Gen AI. And then the 56% is the speed boost that McKinsey is reporting. I have my own opinion about it, and my opinion is that this probably is a corner case. So this must be a corner case, which means that this is a very simple or repetitive code, like completing a loop or something. I wouldn't see that this high gain is something that is achievable on a broader code base in a consistent manner. But at least this is what McKinsey is reporting in their analysis, and this report I'm also linking in the backup slide for my speech here. And in this report, they analyze multiple industries. I'm only snipping here the results for the software engineering. However, this is exactly my point. So the Gen AI in programming, so like the Copilot, it can be helpful, but it will not replace the proper design. It will not replace the complex logic, the human factor. We need to have the human overlooking all the work. And actually, it is, I have at least talked with a few colleagues who say that the work with a Copilot is very, very tiresome. So that the AI, the generative AI, can create snippets of code, but the quality of the code is so uneven that it's just not possible to rely on. So there is very high potential for savings, but what's important is that we need to find the right use case. We need to find the right environment to create it. So what the generative AI is, and this is my opinion here, is that it's but a tool. So this is something that we need to know how to use. We need to find the proper circumstances to use it. We need to learn how to properly and accurately prompt the machinery to generate what we want it to generate. And actually, I have talked to some colleagues who have said that actually learning and creating the proper prompt for the AI machinery is sometimes maybe even just as time-consuming as generating the code itself. So I would say that we should not underestimate the generative AI in programming, because it has tremendous potential of improving the lives of programmers, because it can offload the dull and mundane tasks from people. It can save time. It can keep them more, allow them to spend more time in the flow. But what is essential is that we learn where not to use it. We learn how to control it. Maybe there will be a new category of jobs, like AI babysitters among the programmers, right? That's also a possible outcome, because what may happen is that the generative AI will do some of the programming tasks, but it will also generate new jobs or a different category of jobs for us programmers to increase the efficiency and manage the whole process. So this is one of the skills that we will need to develop for the future. So, and actually, not just in software development. So what I read in some reports, and what I agree with, is that the the knowledge how the LLMs work, the knowledge how to prompt them, how to oversee them, how to generate value with AI without pushing it to hallucinate, is something that will be a skill of the future. And in many industries, so not just the software developers, right? So people from many, many industries will need to learn how to work hand in hand with the AI machinery. So that's one thing that we can predict for the future. That's one part of the skill set. And this takes me to my next part of the speech. This is about the skill set changes in the workplace. So first, I have already said this, the data and AI literacy will be needed in many industries. So people who have worked in an industry for a very long time, they are faced with a need to learn something very new and maybe disruptive for how they perceived the world for a long period of time. Then the soft skills still on the rise. And then I think you will see this in a moment, the diverse and distributed environment, something that I mentioned already, that we are moving away from this 8 to 4 fixed working day, everybody at their desk environment. And then with that, maybe the teams will not meet just as frequency. How would we brainstorm? How would we do the design thinking? How would we in a digital environment co-create? This is we do this now. I do this all the time because I'm located in Gdańsk and nobody else from my company is located there. Well, my husband is, but we don't work together. But what happens is that we need to learn how in this very distributed environment still stay productive and creative. So that's one set of skills that will also be needed for the future. So what I have shown until now is a set of, if you will, drivers for what comes in the future. And then in the summary now I would show the skill set that is foreseen. So in the skill set, I have used the World Economic Forum report. It's a very long one, but a very good one. So they interviewed 800 something companies that span across multiple industries and multiple geographies, I think. In total, over 11 million workers in those companies. They didn't interview all of them. They interviewed their leaders, but that's basically the base that the companies cover. So there is this set of skills, and in here it's not very readable. I'm going to a more readable view in a second, but I very much encourage you to read the report because the report is very detailed. It provides a breakdown by industry. It provides a breakdown by the geographies, by the skill sets. It also maps the skill sets to different categories. So there is quite a few things to learn, and it's open. So that's always a plus if a report is open. So if we look at the top 10, just top 10, in here you have first. Let's start with the technology related. That's 2 of those, right? So there's the AI, there's the design and UI. If I looked at the next 10, also programming was there, the security was there, the design for security is also something that is on the rise. Then the next thing that was there was also the talent acquisition. So meaning that it is foreseen that it will not be as easy to find the good employees or the ones that are fitting your business. Then, next up, this is what I already told you about. So this is my mapping for the human factor that is needed to complement the AI. So we will need to control it. We will need to think critically about what the AI creates. We will need to come up with our own new solutions that go beyond the learning patterns from the past or from what the AI is learning. And then what's what's the last category? I will show you my mapping, and then you tell me if you agree. So my mapping for the last category is leading others and self in a distributed environment. So that's how I see it. So my understanding is that those blue dots, and if you look, they constitute half of the first 10, is about how we are able to overcome the fact that we are maybe not in the same place, that maybe that maybe it's just me and my computer and my task, so nobody overseeing whether I'm actually working. So I need to have the self-drive. I need to motivate myself to deliver, right? Then I am in a different location than my peers. Then we are not able to meet and co-create, right? So all of those things, they pretty much constitute to this top 10, right? But then what happens now is I am at an end of my speech and I am 10 minutes early. And I think this is because I spoke so fast. So my final words is, first, we should all gear up for a constant change. This is something that we have seen also in the past, but now it's accelerating. And it's accelerating because of the computing power that we now have, and we will continue to see the increase of the computing power via the advances in silicon technologies. So the more computing power there is, the more advanced algorithms we can create, and then the bigger challenge would be to keep up with those, right? So I think the next years will be pretty interesting for us. So we need to mind the skills. We need to think what will make us relevant in the market in the years to come. And it's not just the skills that we have right now. It's also the new skills. It's also the skills that will come in the future, or maybe we don't know them yet. But then we also need to choose our employer by the employee experience. This is something that I said before, and I cannot emphasize this enough. If we only focus on work, we are headed for burnout, and this is not good for us, and it's not good for our employer either. So when choosing an employer, we should all mind also the whole employee package, the experience of working at a company. So let's ditch the ones who are micromanaging us. Let's ditch the ones who are not allowing us to have light outside of the work. Let's be smart in choosing where we work. That's it. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much for a really interesting and inspiring presentation. So now it's time for questions and answers. So if you have any question, then please raise your hand. Okay.
Hi. Nice talk, thank you. At the beginning of the talk, you mentioned how we experience this remote work and we're not going back. But I've noticed a wave, especially in the last half a year, of companies kind of returning and mandating a return to office, especially bigger companies. And even companies that see the benefits of remote work, a lot of them are just scared, and they do this kind of half-half, they call it hybrid mode, where they still mandate that you have to spend some days of the week in the office. And it seems kind of hard for me to believe that we will ever return to COVID levels, because it was literally legally mandated. And for me personally, it feels like the wave is not even over yet, that it's going to worsen so to speak. And I had two questions relating to this. Have you noticed this wave, and what are your thoughts? Do you think that we're already past the point where it kind of got the worst it can be, and now more companies are going to embrace remote work, or do you think that we're going to stabilize and it's just going to stay about here? And my second question related to that is, for companies that do choose a full return to office, and maybe to a smaller extent for the hybrid companies, do you believe they're making a mistake? Or do you think it's just, either way works? Thank you.
Cool question, and it addresses something that maybe I didn't manage to pass clearly enough. So my belief is that at least in IT, there is or there shouldn't be no comeback to full office work. Everybody in the office Monday to Friday. This, I believe, should be gone in our industry. That's my belief. I think that the wave of hybrid work with a few days in the office, coordinated, right? Best coordinated, because why are we doing this? We are doing this to allow the teams to meet or to have the whiteboard discussions. I think this makes sense. What I'm claiming is that it is not a good idea to pull the plug completely on the remote work. And I believe there is no going back to pulling the plug completely on the remote work in IT, simply because the employees have already experienced that it's possible, that they are still productive while working remotely. But then, guys, I may live in a bubble. Well, I'm sure that I live in a bubble because I'm working remotely from Gdańsk for 7 years. But I'm talking to people, and as much as I see that in many industries this is not a norm, it is still a norm to be made to work from the office for most of the days. It is maybe seen as a benefit if then they can have Fridays from home, right? Or Mondays, if you will. But my belief is that this hybrid work with a coordinated days where the team would meet in the office is something that we would converge on for the years to come for most teams. But I welcome, we have the mic still, so I welcome if any of you has a different view. I'm happy to learn. Any other questions? Ha! That will be a tough one, gearing up.
I have a comment embedded in a question. Don't you think? So we switched to remote operation and everything goes nice. Don't you think that it goes nice because it is a kind of inertia? The people knew each other very well for years. They've been working together for years. So then when they switch to remote operation, it works fine. But when it comes to a situation when someone new is joining the company, it is much more difficult and inefficient.
Yes.
And maybe this is the problem.
Yes, you are 100% right. So the companies are making savings on the real estate, maybe with the remote work. So they should invest in the ability for the people to meet every now and then, right? So even if people are working remotely, if this is economically possible for a company, they should organize the gatherings a few times a year so that people actually meet each other and they learn to trust each other. And actually, this is why we had so many of these blue dots in the last screen, because working in this very distributed environment without meeting your peers is very, very difficult. So this is a challenge that we will need to solve. You're completely right. 1, 2. 2 more. Now I know why I saved time.
Thank you for your speech. I noticed that on top 10, which you showed us, there was a leadership quite high on 4th place, as I recall, yeah, so 4th place. And empathy, which is quite close or usually goes together with good leadership is on place 10. It is a surprise for me. Do you, in your opinion, the tendency for empathy will be to go higher in this top 10? To close the gap with leadership?
I have no clue. I have not thought about this way. So somehow I would have assumed, if somebody asked me this question, I would have chosen both. But if I was given a choice, I would have chosen leadership, because my belief is that leadership sort of includes empathy as well, right? So maybe breaking out empathy to a separate category is something that I would question. Yeah. Kuba.
So you mentioned that right now you're collecting technical data and translating it for business purposes. Aren't you afraid that large language models will take over your job soon?
Yeah, that's something that everybody is afraid of, but that's also something that people were always afraid of, right? So they were people going on strike when the Industrial Revolution was happening, and I think there's no stopping of the progress. My belief is that we will have a tough period. So some of the work that we are doing will be taken over by the LLMs, but then maybe this will be the worst part, the one that we don't necessarily want to do, and maybe there will be other more interesting jobs come up that somehow spring from the fact that we are having this AI revolution, if you will. Of course, I cannot predict it. I'm not even the expert in AI, but this is somehow how I would hope to see the future of the world.
Sure, thanks.
One more.
Yeah, so I have this maybe provocative question. Why shall I choose employer when I can be my own boss and become freelancer?
Sure.
From the first part of your presentation, the conditions are virtually the same in both cases.
Yeah, sure, you can do that. It is all about which level of security do you need to keep, and in order to trade for freedom. So it's the trade-off between the financial security and the freedom of choosing your projects, right? But I agree. So if we are top professionals, and we are, then we can go freelance, and then we can maybe acknowledge the fact that maybe we will be without a project for a short period of time, but then we will find another one, and then we will thrive. So, but actually, when you are a freelancer, you're back to square one. You are again choosing your project also based on the relationship with the company you're working for, right? So if this is a company that's micromanaging you, or if this is a company that's changing the requirements all the time, you would not work for them again. So this is back to the employee experience as well, right? But then you get to choose it yourself, so you're even more in charge. Yeah. One more.
Thanks. So my question is a little bit related to that number 4 and number 10 distance between those points on the slide. On what is the way to arrange this list? Because I see that AI and big data is number 3, but on the previous slide, AI and big data was a little bit further down the line, I think. Yeah, AI and big data is now on 7th position.
Yeah, I think the screenshot that I took here was regional and not global. So what happened now is you caught me on data inconsistency. Thank you very much.
Okay. That was just good.
Well done. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure talking to you.